Happy Monday!
Hey, it's Monday.
You know what? This is actually, I feel, because I have kids, that this is our first full week. Even though it's not, I feel like this is our first full week. I think because my kids were off for 2 days last week. So for anybody who has children who are currently in elementary school, I don't know if they felt the amount of pressure that I had last week, given that we only had 3 days to work. So I constantly feel like I'm catching up. But what is happening for this week?
Well, this week is going to be a good week. I think mortgage rates are going to, from the previous months, we saw rates just fluctuating a lot, going up and down. Market's been kind of crazy. I think finally we're at a safe place. What I mean with that is I think rates are going to stay where we're at for a little bit before we see another trend, whether it's going up or down, preferably down. So I was thinking about rates, and I've just the last 20 years, because I've been doing this for 20 years, and I was trying to kind of see where we're going, because a lot of clients, they're like, well, what's going to happen with rates? And I was thinking, well, okay, let's look at this. Here in the San Diego market, when rates went up to 7.5% on a conventional rate, 7% on a VA rate, which for me was unthinkable because we had low rates for a long time. Some of our VA loans were at 2.25, 30-year fixed rates, which are like the lowest ever, right? And we kind of got used to a rate around average of 4%. And that's the market we operated for like maybe 8 years. And then all of a sudden, within a year, we exploded and went up to 7.25, 7.5. And we thought the market was going to fall apart. You know, people were going to lose their homes. And all it did, really, it slowed the market down. There was less homes available, but prices of homes didn't go down. You know, here in San Diego, at least it didn't. And people were expecting that. And a lot of clients were like, well, with higher rates, we're going to see less movement. And then people are going to start losing their homes, and we're going to see more foreclosures. And what happened is slowed down, but there was still a demand from buyers, because some buyers were qualifying at that 7.5% rate, and they wanted a home. And if you're waiting, for example, now you're like, well, I'm waiting for rates to go down, or maybe rates go back up. And that's your brain is functioning like, I need rates to be at a certain point for me to move in. I'm like, you're going to waste a lot of time. And time is money. And if you're renting, you're already spending money on rent. And when rates go up, the market doesn't slow down in San Diego. What I mean, it slows down as far as inventory, but there's still buyers. So if you want to get into the market, you're still competing. And what I've seen in the last 20 years is that there's little spaces where you can get in where there's less competition. You should get in at that moment if you can afford to buy. And I think we're experiencing that right now since December till now, where buyers have withdrawn from buying. And the ones that are still in it are the ones getting the good deals right now. Because now with rates going down, I saw an ad recently, rates are the lowest they've been in 3 years. And there's a lot of competition between mortgage brokers. So buyers are getting good deals for interest rates. And then for refinances too, right? We're seeing a lot of refinances because buyers that purchased 2-3 years ago are getting into the lower rates now. And they build equity, because I see the appraisals come back 20, 30, 40,000. I saw an appraisal with $80,000 in equity in 3 years.
Oh my gosh.
Right. So they were excited because they got in. It was expensive. They got in at 7%. Now they locked in a 6.25 conventional loan. And they're like, okay, we're in. And we have $80,000 in equity. If people are on the fence and they're looking for the right rate or environment, I think they're going to have a hard time finding that. I think they need to take advantage of windows that we have where there's not a lot of buyers, and they can get in and try to get a sweet deal in negotiating a seller credit back. well, 2-3%. I mean, you done 4%, right? And that pays their closing costs. And I mean, there's some money left over in some cases, but that is the sweet spot to get into. Don't wait for rates. I mean, rates, if you're waiting for the perfect rate, that's not going to happen. It's very hard to hit that on the perfect rate. I think rates will come down. I think we're going to experience mid fours again in the next 2 to 3 years. But I wouldn't wait for that because you're losing equity by waiting. And if rates do come down to that 4.5, it's going to create more buyers. Now you're going to be in a competitive buying situation. And I've seen those competitive buying situations, and they're not pretty for first-time buyers. They're very competitive. You have no leverage whatsoever, none, and it's very difficult. So I'm telling my buyers, get in now. If you can afford, it makes sense, pull the trigger, don't wait.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
Well, and then what do you think? I mean, on your end, because as a realtor, you see things too, right? I mean, there are sometimes, well, I think everything coincides, right? Like what you see, what I see. I mean, when people come to me, they want to know mortgage and payment.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that is a conversation you have on your end too, because they're concerned, like, what does that payment buy me? The other part of this is people want houses. And we have to be real when they're stepping into their first home and say, look, maybe a house is not in your immediate future right now, but get a condo. Don't walk away from buying now because 4 years later, you may regret it, right? And what do you tell your clients when they're in that situation?
Well, just as you mentioned earlier, I think it's really important that if you can qualify and get into the market, then don't delay. Every second on the market right now shouldn't be wasted. I think just like you mentioned, it's really not about the rate. It's about how much you would qualify for. I think your monthly mortgage is the biggest factor there. And I think it just takes a professional team having to educate the consumer to understand, okay, this is what your monthly mortgage looks like, and this is what the property would be. That's the reality of it.
Right.
So at the end of the day, we just got to match their reality with what is available on the market and then go from there. I mean, at the end of the day, it's really up to them on which property they want to choose to move forward with. Although it may not be a single family detached home, but a condo is a good choice too.
I think a lot of people mentally are like, they're seeing Instagram, Facebook, and they're seeing these homes are beautiful, huge, and we all want that. Who doesn't want the white picket fence with the 3-car garage, with the big backyard, right? I think most of us want that, but that's not usually your first home. And that's where we have to really have that, heart-to-heart conversations. Like, look, this is what you can afford, and this is great, and this is where you should step into right now so that this home could be your next step to the following home. I read somewhere it takes 2 to 3 homes before you get to your perfect home. And I don't know where that was lost in the last 10 years. I feel like that was lost and people were getting into their perfect homes immediately. And now we're back to that. Let's work and get you first home, then your second home, and hopefully by your third home, that's your dream home that you're going to be in. So I think we have to get back to fundamentals with that. And it's hard to have those conversations with clients because we don't want, like, I literally don't want to break their heart and be like, I'm the bad guy, but it's the reality, right? Like, and I'd rather have that conversation and tell them, look, we got to get you in. Like, we got to get your mind like focused on getting in. Once you're in, the game is different at that point. You're building equity. You have a roof over your head. You have stability. Then we'll worry about the next step when the next step comes.
It's all about creating generational wealth.
Absolutely.